Hello and welcome to International History Chapter 3.2. Yay! This chapter is basically just how the League of Nations, fell and didn't really do anything. Let's get into it. So, remember in the Wilson's 14 points, he was like, and guys, we should all totally just put our weapons down so that a war doesn't accidentally happen and we don't all die again. But other countries were like, no, because the countries after World War One was so weak that they not having an army. It would be terrible for them. Like Germany had just barely enough of an army to um civilize, protect, patrol their own people. And so Germany was like, freak no, we should be allowed to rearm if anything. And then every other country was like, yeah, no, we don't want to do that. So yeah, disarmament fell. And then okay, we have the taking over of Manchuria. So you guys are gonna see in chapter 4. Basically China's super weak, Japan is super not weak. Japan takes over China. And so China has all of this land, right? And Manchuria is very, wealthy. And so Japan is going to want to take it there. And also they want to imperialize. So Japan is just like, hee I take, I take Manchuria and I call it Manchukuo. And China's like, what am I going to do? Nothing. So they're like, hey, League of Nations, want to help me? But let me just say this. When they appeal to the League of Nations, it's really them appealing to mostly France and Britain. Well, I don't want to dismiss the league because there was so many countries in it. The two most powerful countries were Britain and France, and they were really weak at this time. And so, since it wasn't going to really affect them and it was just going to take power, they didn't want to go into another war. They sent these two little, not too little. They sent these, I forgot the name. But there are these little people that come over all the way from Europe to Japan, not yeah, China, and they're like, hey, can you guys stop being mean? Can you guys stop this? Can you give their land back? And China and Japan goes, no, I don't wanna, whatever, you freaking loser. And he's just like, oh, okay. Because what else can they do? And so he keeps it. And for the rest of this, it's just Japan completely invading China and China not having much to do about it. But that you guys see in chapter 4. So let's go to Abyssinia. Abyssinia is in Africa, okay? And you're not supposed to be the USA. You're supposed to be Britain. Anyways, so basically, Jesus, I don't know why they're so small. But, Italy takes over because Britain and France had, most of Africa at this point, or, had a bunch of territories there. They didn't really take care of it, or they did. They just kind of owned it. But because you guys remember Scramble from Africa, not from Africa, for Africa, chapter 1. So they had most of it, and then Italy was like, hee, I want to be dictator, and takes over Abyssinia. And publicly, Britain and France, the League of Nations, it's just like, hey, you guys are gonna get, you guys can't trade anymore. But they were still allowed to trade, coal and iron and stuff because that's really all they cared about, so it didn't really affect them. And the reason why they did this is because Britain and France still wanted to have a good relationship with Italy, so they were just like, okay, don't tell anyone, but you're still gonna be allowed to have whatever you want, we just need to punish you in some way. So they're like, okay, fine, I guess. And they still have a good relationship. It's because the League of Nations, okay, they don't want to get into another war. Let's talk about Spain, okay? So there was a civil war in Spain, right? Spanish Civil War, where Francisco Franco, the next dictator, comes to power fighting against the Spaniards, right? As you can, it's a civil war. And so not and so the League of Nations was like, we're not gonna interfere with you guys. That's your war. That's your land, right? And I think Germany and France have left the league right now. They're about to leave the league, but either way, they didn't care if they were in the league or not. They were just kind of like, hey, let me send you Francisco Franco. Look at me. Okay. If I send you troops and everything, can you tell me if they work out well? And then Francisco Franco's like, okay. And so basically Hitler and Mussolini, because that's France. Not France, Italy. Hitler and Mussolini just kind of like helped Francisco Franco's dictatorship win in the Civil War, and they do. But Russia's like helping more of the side of the people. But Russia's also kind of like, hey, I want to beat you guys, but please don't hate me. So they don't like try that hard in the war, but they do attend it. But Russia's really isolated right now, so like the only fake friend they have right now is like Hitler. Oops. Anyways, it wasn't that long of a video, guys. But let me draw. I explain. So basically, the League of Nations ended up like not doing anything, and currently, I didn't like that house. Currently in modern day, we have United Nations, which it was built differently than the league, but it still like have the same idea. But I don't want anyone to be worried and be like, oh, what if the same thing happens to the league and blah blah blah. It was built very differently, right? So hopefully the same thing doesn't happen, even though history tends to repeat itself. And that's why we study it and try to remember what happened and stuff. Let me finish drawing the grass. Anyways, that's it mostly for today's video. The league failed. Dictators ended up winning most of the time.